Alrighty. I'm waiting for the notification and then the views and the viewers. All right, so that's me. I'm gonna introduce you. Okay, here we go. And Khalid. All right. Khalid, you want me to say Kent Jamz or you want me to say Khalid?
Don't matter, bro.
Okay, Kent Jamz. Okay, yes, sir. Okay, here we go. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a special edition of Off the Record. This evening, I have a great guest and a great facilitator this evening. We'll start with the guest. The guest is Brother Khalid, also known as Kent Jamz, who's a great artist, a musician, and a someone who is who grew up in this and who just he's doing his thing. We also have the facilitator for tonight's show, Sister Asmeejah, who's been on here before. I'm sorry for the tardiness. Sister Asmeejah was taking care of something as usual. Yeah, my brother Rashad says, gang. Thank you, Rashad, for that. Okay, so we want to get straight into it. If you all have your questions and comments, please put them in the comments. Today's subject, we're dealing with the sons who define their own destiny and their own legacy with a lot of pressure on them. How do they handle that? And we're ready to go. So that's Asmeejah. Boom, hit us with the questions.
Okay, so my first question is for either of you or both. Actually, I think I'd like both of you to answer this question. At what age or stage of your development do you feel like you first identified pressure, to follow in your father's footsteps or to reflect him, or identify any pressure related to your relationship and your dad?
Well, I think Josh should go first for sure.
For me, probably around 10 or 11. It's MUI drill time and all that kind of stuff. They started making it. They started trying to separate it, kind of like you can't play football. Sports is more like your dad don't play this, so you should do this, and your dad don't do this, so you should do that. So I started to feel it probably when I was 10 or 11.
Okay.
I don't necessarily know if it was pressure for me. My dad was, me coming up, I moved here when I was 6 years old. So I probably went to one or two mosque meetings before then. So the first time that I saw nation or minister or the structure of how the nation works was getting off of a plane in California. So I didn't know it necessarily. I couldn't. It was like a different reality. It was like a whole nother world inside of a world. So it was never necessarily pressure for me. It was kind of I don't know. I was protected to be free, to think freely, to think outside of the box, to think bigger than being a minister. I've always felt like that was instilled in me. I don't think I was ever destined to fulfill my dad's footsteps, and I kind of battled with that growing up because I thought that. But from the way that they raised me, it was it's much bigger than that. They wanted me to communicate and connect on behalf of the nation and that behalf of them putting the headphones on my mom's belly of the minister and the messenger. That was in my DNA. And I think I've always could feel that. The leader's voice is the most familiar voice to me, more than my dad's and my mom. It's the most familiar voice. When I hear his voice, I get it's deeper than that. So I think I was always destined to be bigger than Pops. I never felt pressure for that. I felt pressure to be a better Muslim, but not to be better than my dad.
Okay. So what you all, sounds like you all describing more of a comparison than you are pressure per se. What Brother Joshua sounds like to me. And I probably should have asked you all, because I know there are other listeners and viewers, if you all could, in your own words, just share, your father's, what your perceptions and interpretation of your father's legacies are. Because, by chance, if there's anyone who's unfamiliar, I think that I probably should start with that first question.
For me, I'll go first. My dad's legacy for me, for growing up in the house of a great man, that's what I consider my father, a great man. Great men make mistakes. Great men have great triumphs. but then also you see how people treat great men. So it kind of leaves you with like a distasteful yet an understanding feeling for people. It's a deeper love you got for people if you make it out on the light side, because you can have people that grow up in the nation or grow up under ministers or captains, and we see it, we know it, and they literally are the opposite of what you thought that they would be. But that ain't nothing against the father or the nation or the parents. It's just how people react to different situations. And I think through like what Josh was bringing up, like competition, the drill competition, which it got a little East Coast, West Coast-ish, at times. But the actual discipline that went from being at the mosque and seeing the same people every day and being at the meeting and then making it to the competition. And after that, shaking hands and going to the social together. It just, I don't know. It's a different legacy. I've never felt the pressure. And that's when Josh asked me, when we were speaking about father, my father always took the pressure off of me trying to be like him. He always told me like, I'm not perfect. And he showed me through his actions as well, but he also, it was way more good that he did. That like I said, that I'm proud of. The only thing you have to be careful with on legacy is the perception that other people kind of try to tarnish on your pops. It's okay when the people do good, but me as a child and a male child, always being on post or him teaching me how to hold security and always having a security kind of mind state, I kind of always watched, the people who would kind of try to tarnish that, whether it be within a nation, whether it be in a community, even my own family. I kind of turned into a protector of his legacy, in a sense. And in a portion of my life, I could say it was probably 15 and 19. I was very erratic. It was more like very sensitive. Like everybody, I felt like was against me, so it was against my dad. And you just gotta, you can't take on your pop's pressures. You just gotta realize like that I'm gotta be the person that I thought that he was. If that makes sense.
Yes, sir, it does.
That's the legacy part. And the children, my child. Like once I see my child next to my dad, they got the same expressions, the same. She has more of him in her than she does anybody. And that's the legacy. Everything that's the work that comes with that. Everything else is just doing your part, man. The nation has already been, the blueprint is set up. So we just got to find where we fit in and do our part. It's just double for us because you have to do that also as a Black person in America. So now I got to find where I fit in America, and I got to find where I fit in the nation. And then don't travel. I've done been to Tokyo. Then it's like, okay, now. But it always comes back to nation. It always comes back to what our fathers instilled in us. So it's mind blowing how it's a different level of proud that I get the older I get in my dad's legacy and what he's instilled in me. And my dad always told me, you won't know until you have your own child. But I think I didn't know until it comes with learning. You don't necessarily have to have children to know, what your parents have done for you and to actually get that. But it is your choice to act on it. You can think that and tell them thank you all day and then go to sleep for 12 hours, and you ain't adding to what we trying to keep going. And my bad for the long answers. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I think that you made some great points because a lot of people who apply the pressure, it's good that you mentioned that you never actually received that pressure from your dad. It might have been from the outside or the peripheral, but it's funny how we see legacy as the work that, different men do, but you see it as who your father is, and what he showed you, who raised you, and so that's a good point, actually.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, excellent. Sister Asmeejah, I'm coming to your point. I want to say, speak to everybody in the comments. Raymond Guilford, peace. Ronald West, y'all. Thank you, Ronald, for that. My sister Mimi said this is a great discussion. Salute, Brother Jihad. Thank you. Mimi said the protector, his legacy is beautiful. Ibrahim, greetings from Sierra Leone. Greetings, my brother. But Eric, we coming to your question. And go ahead, Sister Asmeejah, go ahead.
I was going to ask you to kind of share your perspectives on that topic, on that question.
Can you say it one more time, please?
If you could just describe in your words how you see your father's legacy, what it is to you.
Man, first of all, I want to say that Khalid, this is my first time. For people who don't know, this is really my first time having a conversation with Khalid since we was like, I guess, like, you know, kids. But man, I didn't know that's how you felt. That was great. I see my dad's legacy. It's kind of two ways. You got the man that's in the front of everybody, you know, always on post. But which I think that takes care of itself because it's about the work and all of that. But the behind the scenes legacy is what I care more about. Just the family man. Somebody who's, you know, struggling for balance. I try to get him to relax, not be so serious all the time, and just let people know that he has feelings and stuff. So, and it's hard describing that to people because they always see him holding posts, and I'm like, nah, he got children and grandchildren. You know, he like movies and music. So I kind of try to show the other side of him to let people know that man, you know, the human side of him. I think that's why I want to, you know, shed light on.
Gotcha. Can I ask you all what characteristics, traits, do you all think that you all inherit or share with your fathers?
Well, my dad is a minister, so literally what he does all the time is try to find a way to connect the people. So when you hear like people bearing witness in the mosque and saying "go ahead" and all that stuff, like I used to always like, not necessarily. It's not proud. It is proud. I mean, after a while you get used to it, but it was kind of something like he does like automatic. So in a sense, I always knew that I would be doing that. It was just, I got to find out a way to do it bigger than this. So that's what I do. I do music. So that's what rapping is. That's what song is. It's the way when I make a popular song, it's because I was able to connect in a vague, but still like, you know, the exact sense that I can tap into different people to where they can, you know, be bearing witness basically, or laughing or just feeling a certain type of way. So I think I picked up on that characteristic. But for my dad, being very busy all the time, he was still present in the household like 40% of the time. But when I was probably like 6 to 8, it was when we first moved to LA, I saw him very rare. It was a new mom. He was getting the new moms ready. We had a new house, just a bunch of stuff going on. So even though the show was about my dad, I would have to credit most of my characteristics to my mom. And I thank him all the time for him choosing that person, you know, to raise us. And I think most of my characteristics come from my mom, but the way that I deal with conflict from hearing my dad do different, you know, he was a minister. So sometimes you will overhear two couples going through marriage counsel, or it'd be two people who I thought were deep in love. And I'm like, they're here for counseling. And it wasn't because they had a problem. It was just because they needed to talk to my dad about something. So I think I was able to pick up on being able to listen to people and communicating. That was it. But most of my characteristics, you know, and I like I said, that's all praise is due to Allah. That they come from my mother. And I think my dad respects and knows that.
Still very much a reflection of him, huh?
Yeah, because it was like you chose hers.
Right.
And a lot of problems that I have with women, like, you know, we all do growing up young, trying to figure out who we're going to deal with. He always tells, I'll come to my dad for that advice. I can't get it. I got to go to my mom. Because when I ask him, he'll say, son, I don't know, because your mom is an MGT. So I never had to deal with that. And it's like, wait, what? I just talked to you for 5 minutes about something, bro. And okay. And I go to my mom and she'll talk to me in depth about it. And it's like, see, but yeah.
That's pretty hilarious. Okay, so Brother Joshua, can you answer that question as well? What characteristics, traits do you feel like you inherited or assumed, you know, possessed, you know, from growing up in your dad's household, from being obviously, you know, his son? Either you feel like you just, you know, inherited a characteristic or a trait, or you just share it. You happen to share it with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I see you all coming for your comments, and thank y'all for watching. Absolutely. My father's seriousness, when he's focused on something, he's focused on it. When I'm focused on something, I'm focused on it. Yeah, I would think it's more my ability to lock into something. So if I'm working on, like right now, we're working on a web series and I got auditions, and I see some of my dad coming out in me because I'm calling some people. I'm like, hey, look, yo, we got to do these auditions. We got to do the. So the organizational skills is more of my father. And like Khalid said, with his the personal, the silliness or the sense of humor, that's my mom's. But the seriousness and the organizational skills, that's my dad for sure.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, just to break it up a little bit, if you all could just tell me, I know you're into pop culture. If you could just tell me a favorite or influential, important, or just a father-son duo or father-sons, family that you admire or that you relate to or that you just, you really like.
Man, that's so hard, man. Growing up in the nation, I've always looked at the leader and his family as pop culture or like a celebrity. So meeting other celebrities was so hard for me to get or want to take a picture.
Right.
So I don't know. I've always compared myself to the example. It's hard for me to look at people in that sense. I respect it. Like I like LeVar Ball and how the love he has for his child, but I see how that can be overbearing sometimes. My dad wasn't like that. Neither is the leader. I like how it is with like Will Smith and his son. I think I like how they their relationship is. Jaden's a little bit younger than I am, so he doesn't have a lot of rules. I love the fact that I had to go through Ramadan. I love the fact that I had to be at drill competition. I love the fact that I had to get certain grades when everybody else couldn't get it. That means discipline. So I ain't saying that people ain't necessarily putting discipline in their children, but it's a lot more children shooting schools up in a week than it is in any other time. So I think me and my dad if not now, will eventually be like the example that other people will hopefully be comparing themselves to. And like I said, I ain't trying to shoot down on the question, but that really comes from, man, I'm telling you, after meeting the leader so many times, even I live in LA and my dad used to bring so many people to the house. It was like, man, I'm straight. I thought Supreme and the leader was here, man. I thought I was about to see Josh. You gotta, that's what I'm trying to understand. You gotta understand. I really try to convey that to people, how we were really, as growing up in the nation, it was a whole nother different type of culture. We had our celebrities. We had our pop culture. We had people that were good in music or the best rock stars, or the best in drill and the karate exhibitions that they would do. Brother Steve is like Bruce Lee living. If in my eyes, I'm like, it's hard for me to even like Bruce Lee that much. The person who taught him is in the nation. So most of my pop stars come from the nation. Leonard and his pops, my Uncle Jamil, like those are who I like. Those are the combos I like. The people that I see that I've always grown up with that are doing shows like this that we still honoring our fathers. I don't got time to worry about everybody else that's about to start being like us.
I can definitely feel that. I always like to say, folks, I'm from Atlanta, so a lot of people in Atlanta, we're not very starstruck.
Me too.
I don't think we are, So I can definitely relate to that. And particularly, when you look at Black excellence and you're thinking just about the fact that we're an original people, so it is, the standard is kind of high when it comes to being impressed and admiring. But I love to see families. I love to see Black fathers in the forefront with their families, with their sons, with their daughters. And not just for myself, but when I see it, I know they're representing and that image is accessible globally, So it makes me something I am accustomed to seeing, but for anybody who isn't, that image is there for them globally. So you touched on a lot of father and son duos, or a lot of fathers that for sure I've had the pleasure of listening to, learning from, watching from afar and in person. So I think that was also an excellent point. Brother Joshua?
Got some quick questions from the audience. First of all, my sister Mimi says you all haven't said who your fathers are for the people who don't know. So, Khalid, could you explain to them who your dad is?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry. Minister Tony Muhammad is my dad. The minister just gave him his new name, Malik Saeed. So he's been the Western Regional Minister. I've been here since I moved out here in '95, right before I saw the Million Man March, and then I was on a plane the next day. So I've been out here since then, and that's how long my dad has been over everything west of the Mississippi.
That's right. Sister Asmeejah, Mimi also said your sound is she can't hear you a little bit with your sound.
Okay, let me see if I can get my headphones.
Okay, thank you. Okay, while I'm back, brother Khalid, I will tell you. Actually, I got two questions. I'm coming. Thank you, Mimi, for saying I had the same sense of humor as that. Lake Slumber, Daniel. Ronald says, do you have any memories of with your pops that may be outside of work, i.e., playing sports, watching movies, or fishing, or anything like that?
Oh, heck yeah, man. Hundreds, dog. Hundreds. I'm trying to think of. I don't know. I know one was we were having dinner at the house and Stevie Wonder came, and I got in trouble because I kept leaning the seat back to see up under his glasses. And I remember, that was the only time my dad was like very upset with me. I had to move my seat to like the children's seat. In the nation, we got like a children's seat. If you can make it to the big seat, that's big time. But most people, they got to get the paper bowls and the bean soup at the little people seat. So I made it up there, and I was there for like 4 minutes, and then I was gone. I was back to the little seat, and everybody was looking at me like, "You stupid! Like, how did you mess that up?" But I had to see. And my dad was he had a long talk with me about that and how rude it was and table etiquette and all that stuff. But other than that, me and my dad, we used to just go ride around LA all the time. And that's the most I remember, riding around this Mercedes and listening to music in LA. And him telling me everything is going to be mine and these your people and all of that. Oh, the best story I got of my pops though is when I signed my record deal. And I'm like, Pop, I got this money. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't have no worries right now. Everybody is good right now. And he told me, hey, bro, you got 60 million people to think about. You ain't got, what do you mean everybody is taken care of? Mm-hmm. And that one, I never forget how that made me feel. And I was just I thought I was so chill and so relaxed. So my dad is always nation. He's always nation. Even when you think he's not, my dad always turning back to nation. So all of my stories is always, for the most part, he's fun, but it always, he bring it back home.
That's that. Okay, excellent. Welcome, Salam, Sister Tracy. And thank you for your question too, Ronald. To answer your, hey, Mimi, boom, she got the headphones. All right. Also, I want to make everybody know this podcast is brought to you by my sister Mimi's book, ABC I Love Me, on Amazon. My brother, Politically Oppressed, and Jamal, street premiere. Get y'all shirts, y'all hats for the video editing, and my second book, which is Cleopatra, which is on Amazon, y'all's children's book. Go get that thing. All right. Also, Ronald, for me and my dad, our memories that outside of the work, probably going to Brunswick, Georgia, where he's from, and walking on the pier. He likes to be outside with fishing and all that kind of stuff. And he likes to be outside with bugs and nature and all that. I'm not really into that. So most of my memories is going to be around like, some like on some farmland or on the land or something like that. Okay, go ahead, so that's major boom. Just like that.
Okay. So can I ask you how did watching your father's face trial, how did that shape you all just as young men or men?
You got to say that again. I couldn't hear.
Can you all hear me?
No, your sound's still messing up, isn't it?
It's still, I think it might be the Wi-Fi. You may have to move to another section of the crib.
Oh, really? What do you all hear?
It's just like
static.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't the headphones. It sounded better with the headphones, actually, in my opinion.
You said without the headphones?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have to take them.
Thank you, Asmeejah. Okay, what was your question?
I said, how has being able to witness the humanity of your fathers and watching them endure, face various trials, whatever they might have been, personal, professional, how has that shaped you all as men?
Or young men? For me, man, it's hard because like I said, for a while it used to make me bitter because I find out, to me, most men that do the most work and are really in the trenches and really trying to solve problems with people who got problems, whose children are being murdered in the street. I mean, coming home with like blood on it. So my dad was assaulted by the police before, just in the name of somebody else son getting shot and nobody trying to help him out to their full potential. So to see that happen, and then for us to have to do things like move out of our home number of times, and it's just getting real personal, it would leave me bitter a lot of times. So that kind of pushed me to suppressing that through music or not necessarily hang around people. And then I would start to hear a little bit more negative things even within the mosque than I thought I would hear. And I knew within me, I didn't want to feel negative about the nation. I didn't want to necessarily feel any distaste about my father choosing, to even be minister in our mosque. But you just got to understand that the world ain't perfect and your father ain't perfect. And that's how I can tell the best people in my life. The best people is not the ones that's driving the best cars, and they're not the best people. It's not the ones that live in the biggest houses, because my mom and my dad did so much and do so much for me. And it kind of keeps me guarded with them now. So I kind of not necessarily pity or feel sorry for my dad, but I just feel like my dad, he deserves way much more than the work that he's put in for not only the nation, but just for people. And I ain't even talking about black people. I'm just talking about poor people. We've been in the thick of it for a long time. So I've seen my dad in tears. I've seen my dad, like I said, with blood on his shirt numbers of times and in prison. So, I don't really got time for a bunch of BS. I can sense it, I can sense it now within the nation. I can sense it within black, white, all type of people. And I thank him for his the stuff that he went through, because it helps me maneuver through not life, but Hollywood and doing music. Different type of people try to get over on me with contracts or different things. So I tap in on him every once in a while, and I just pray that he's okay. But just for me personally, for a while, I can admit it left me bitter, the fact that he chose that route. It made me, I had to just get away from it so that I wouldn't feel distasteful about my father. And he, it's my guy.
That's actually pretty deep, to be honest with you, because
I was trying to be honest.
No, I mean, it's everything, because you know, when I say humanity, like that's exactly what I'm asking, because you all have to have fathers who are in who are just truly in service. Like they're in a position of service and leadership.
And they're in a relationship with they're married to the people. It's like I see a marriage between my mom and my dad, and I kind of see that within the nation, and then within the people, and within the perception of how the world feels about them. And then, it's just a bunch, and they got children, they got grandchildren. It's all about perception, and it's a marriage. Being a man is not getting emotional, but letting people know you're emotional. And my dad is a minister. He has to be vulnerable at all times, but still reserved. And that can pull a person.
Right.
So yeah.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Josh, did you want to share anything on that?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. I wanted to follow up with that. Thank you, Khalid, for your transparency. My sisters both said that's so true. Mimi said, I felt that 100%. Khalid, sometimes you have to step away so you won't be bitter or catch a case.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Welcome, Salam, Sister Tracy. With me, the main thing I learned from watching my father is that you can't do no favor-seeking game, because most people who you're not gonna get rewarded for you ain't gonna get applause for it, you don't get awards for it. Ain't no the reward is with God. And when you see your parents struggle or suffer or go through stuff, it just makes you be like, if I'm gonna suffer, I'm gonna suffer for doing plays or acting, because that's my number one passion. If you're gonna go through something, I'm not gonna suffer just to like clout chase or something, just because everybody, you think you're gonna get claps, because then it's gonna be empty. So it's like, man, what you're really passionate about is gonna be long suffering. It's gonna be a whole bunch of disappointments, and it's gonna be rough. So just if you're gonna go through something that you really born to do. So when I see my parents go through stuff, especially my dad, I'm just like, man, Allah bless you, bro. Because it couldn't be me for that. I think I'll be a little bit more outspoken on this. I would have said something. So it just shows me that you gotta really love what you do to dedicate your life to something. As far as in the work, especially.
That's true. That's very true. A lot of times you're called to do things that you might not even feel equipped to do. But if it's your calling and God has placed that on you, you gotta find a way. Okay, thank you all for sharing that. I appreciate also the transparency. Now, another question I have, well, this is kind of a comment. I see in both of you all's cases that you all have a sense of individuality, which is beautiful. And it appears to me both of you have a clear passion, in your life, what you all, like you said, Brother Khalid, are married to. How did you go about carving out that path? And did this passion, was it always there? Was it, did it click in you? Or was there a turning point where you just made a conscious decision, to go for it?
It's like, it's like when you're doing what you love, it's like picking and choosing a wife. What they teach me in FOI class, or what my mom used to teach me, like, you don't go looking on the sister side and trying to find a wife and hunting people down. You ain't even supposed to be on that side of the check post. Like, your wife is supposed to find you. So when it comes to my passion, that found me in every level of my life. Football, it found me. I was practicing with my dad in the front. I love football, but that in a way, it just found me, I feel like. So that's why I love to do it until I didn't love to do it. It's kind of like being in a relationship sometimes. Sometimes you don't like to do it. I can't even say that I'm gonna love to do music. It's just, it found me. Once I found out that I was good at it, I started, kind of doing it more. It's just like kind of like dating. Like, okay, she's giving me a little attention. I'll, keep courting her more. And then you keep doing it, find out, hey, you got certain things in common with this person. And with me, it was, I'm getting better at this, or I'm getting better at that. I always like to listen to this or that. And given who my father was, I was able to maneuver without even having to use his name, just knowing different ways to maneuver, or people already knowing who my pops was. But the only sense I can say that it helped carving it out was it protected me on the street side. Because out here we got a lot of gang activity. I mean, and for being in the nation, I never had to worry about that side. I mean, it was blatant signs of, where like, an emergency where you're not supposed to be at this party or be it, with this set of people, but at the end of the day, nobody was. It helped me maneuver more freely, if anything. But yeah, that was pretty much it.
Excellent.
Okay. Appreciate that. That I like how you put that. It found you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. So, Brother Joshua, how would you say you went about carving your own path?
Excellent. I just want to say one thing, Sis Asmeejah. Hold one second. Ronald says, thank you both for allowing us to use your father's help. So many information over the years. You're welcome, Brother Ronald. Thank you very much for your concern. For me finding my passion, I always wanted to be, Michael Jackson was always my favorite person growing up. I always was acting with my siblings. My mother was an actress. So as far as acting, I could imitate. So if my dad's like, okay, turn this off, put on Dr. Khalid or put on the minister, then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to imitate, we're going to act out them doing speaking and holding posts and all that. And I just started acting that out. So then it's like, all right, you're real. So y'all give me the microphone. I'm going to put on a show. I'm going to act like I'm going to implement music. I'm going to, as Josh is, he's acting, he's performing. So I was always performing, even when I'm saying, I'd like to perform. I like to, so speech in front of people, okay, this is just me imitating a minister. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the acting, it was always there the whole time. It just took me a minute to be like, all right, Josh, you're really about to be serious about this and really, putting out content. But I was acting my whole life. What's that, Asmeejah?
Okay.
Yeah, real quick. I gotta walk back to get my charger, but I don't think my phone is gonna die. I think I'm gonna make it on time. I'm just letting everybody know. I think I'm gonna make it on time, and it's not that loud because I stay in like a good little area.
We're
good.
For
okay, cool. Okay, cool. We good.
And Brother Joshua, I've never seen any pictures of you with a red jacket. Real Michael Jackson fans have pictures of them in a red leather jacket.
I got the video. I'll show you the video. I got the video. I got the proof now.
You post plenty, but we never seen that post. So
us coming. I'll post it.
Okay, so I have so on the pressure to follow in your father's footsteps. There's just two parts. There's two parts to that issue, and this is just some commentary that I read. Mm-hmm. The first part is there's at least two parts to this issue of following pressure to follow in your father's footsteps. And for those who feel it, it sounds like you're at a stage where you got into a place where you know exactly who you are, you have a firm identity, but there are others, young men who, they have pressure from their father to be a certain way. Sometimes it may not necessarily be that I want you to do what I do, or I want you to be like me, but a father may want his son to be a particular way, that is different or other than who he actually is. So, first part is how you see yourself, and more specifically, how comfortable you are being as a separate and different person from your father. So how others see you and their expectations, their association of you with your father. So I feel like we talked a lot around that first part, is how you all see yourselves, right? So in terms of how others have seen you and their expectations based on your association with your fathers or their association with your father. Mm-hmm. Can you just share some perspectives about that? And, just kind of things you've had to sift through, that you've had to sift through for yourself and coming to where you are right now. Because like I said, it sounds like you all are further along in this process of, finding yourselves and being who you are, carving your own path. And obviously, what a lot of people might not realize is your fathers are accepting and encouraging of your path as well.
Yeah, most of the time. But I get like the comments like everybody else, I wish you would do this, or I wish you wouldn't do that, but for the most part, he kind of got out of that. I think the leader told him, the more that you don't say about it, he'll start doing it. It's kind of like it's the law of attraction for the most part. But man, I'm trying to because like the first half you said, it was kind of choppy. I couldn't hear it, but I heard the last part.
Gotcha. So there were two parts. I feel like we touched on you all's perspectives or perceptions of who you are separate of your father, but then that other part of the pressure is how others perceive you and their expectations of you based on
yes ma'am. That took time too, because it was different levels. Like certain stuff I learned when I was younger not to do through my dad being a minister. Like if I got new shoes, I couldn't necessarily like show off my new shoes because people might have feel away. And people used to make comments or something like, man, I remember one time I was younger, I said something and somebody told me, yeah, well, we give, charity every week. So we bought those shoes. And I was like, oh, God, yes, ma'am. Not on the, we're children, and when you're a child, you say you're black and white. So you cool or you come in love. And that's just being a child. I didn't take it personally. I took it as, I need to stop talking mess. Like, So now when I get stuff, I let other people tell me when it looks nice. Mm-hmm. Or if I get a new suit, I let other people tell me that. Or if I got a bunch of shoes at the house, I go give them out, or I try to make sure that I make myself an equal. I never try to you know, if we're racing or something, I'm gonna win, but we're gonna have on the same shoes. So you're not gonna say it was me because of that. It's just gonna be because I was better. So I always try to do stuff that made it equal for me, so that people, the stuff that they used to say, it didn't necessarily affect me, or how they perceive me didn't affect me, because I knew who my father was and what he meant, but I also knew what my mom's position was. I knew what my position was and what my sister's was. And at times when I used to let it stress me out, that's when I would have the wrong things make me deal with those issues. So the minute I stopped letting those types of things stress me out, and I just did what I was supposed to do, which was be a better person, which is being a better Muslim, you know, and then it took it off of me. But I did have to go through different phases of life of learning what not to do. And I mainly got that from other people teaching me that, but I never took it as cruel unless it was cruel when I got older, type of thing. And that's when I said when I would get bitter at different things. And that was just me being in my own head for the most part. Some of it was straight direct, but a lot of it wasn't. Most of it was just me being upset with, you know, misfortune. That's human. But the way that other people used to talk, like I said, I learned from it. I always used to learn from it. I love to write and I love making music. So a lot of these experiences, when I just am quiet, I'm able to pay attention to detail and how people mean and what they feel. It's all about, you know, how you say something. It's not necessarily what you say. It's more about how you say something to people. That separate great people. You know, it's hard to, you know, keep your tongue from just moving too much. So you hear people's intentions for the most part when you just shut up and listen to them. And for the most part, when people say stuff that hit home, it's gonna shut you up anyway. So I just learned at a young age to listen to it. And that came from reading, and my mom always instilling reading in me, and my dad as well, and having to memorize like general orders and all that stuff. That stuff would pop up in my head immediately when I would feel alarmed or feel like embarrassed or something. Like just different things, like I said, would just be instilled in me at an early age, to where it would calm me down and I could just pay attention to diction and detail. And most of the time, I didn't take it personal. I wouldn't even tell my dad about most of the stuff. Like, I don't even think if he listened to that, he wouldn't even know about that story. Because it didn't mean what it, when I tell it to people. I've told that to my mom before, and she kind of felt the way, but it was like, nah, that helped me through life. I can remember that like it was yesterday.
I think that's an excellent perspective to pull from that situation, because most certainly you could have pulled a negative perspective from that situation. So,
it made me feel negative and positive at the same time when it first happened. And still, when I think about it, if that makes I don't know. It's just a way I learned how to just be quiet about certain stuff. Just don't brag. Let other people talk about it. Let other people talk about the word. That's what we say is all praises due to Allah. So that's what I should have checked myself.
You know what? That's funny. My mom used to always. One of the biggest lessons I think I learned from her was humility. So actually, in the age of like, you know, shining your light and, you know, rooting for yourself or bragging on yourself, I really had to learn how to do that because I was taught to be so humble. But at the same time, you need balance. You know what I'm saying? Because it is okay to say, like, it really should be okay for you as a child to say, look, you know, this brings me joy. I'm excited without, you know what I'm saying, there being a joy kill. But the reality is, like you said, when you listen,
that's not my reality. I didn't have that reality as every other child. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to brag now, but my reality as a child was not of a normal child. It just wasn't that. I could not do that. I had to sit with my right hand over my. What do you mean? Yeah, you can run around the mosque, but when it's time to be a Muslim, you gotta be a reflection. But not only that, you gotta be the best driller. I didn't feel like that through him. I feel like that through everybody else. My dad never felt me did that. The pressure, if any, was put on by the nation, but it was for the nation. Like that's what we was born to do, and I always knew that. You know,
that's because you all are sharing what sounds like me through all these comments is that the pressure more so came from outside than it from inside. And a a lot of people might perceive that differently. They might think otherwise, you know. Brother Joshua, you have something to share regarding that particular point?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, Khalid, you said a lot. I learned a lot. And thank you, Asmeejah, for your questions. I see you all's comments. Thank you, Khalid, for your transparency. Thank you, Kiyama, and everyone else who's watching. Naima, Mimi, Robert Z, everybody. What was the question again, Asmeejah?
Okay, so I didn't ask that.
No, I'm saying Khalid had me mad for him. I wanted to go. I remember other people's perception. Because other people's perception.
That's what I'm trying to tell y'all, bro. It's not coming from anger, man. And that's why I don't want for anybody to come from an anger perspective. That's why us as Black folk, why we don't spend money with each other, or why we don't like to deal with conflict. I never was coming from anger. It was nation's country. They dealing with it. That's what they doing in the Senate. That's what they doing in the Pentagon. They dealing with stuff. They trying to, you know. But nonetheless, you got to respect the fact that they standing in each other's face trying to deal with it. I was just raised on how to deal with that with them myself, and it was always beautiful because, like I said, we was in a nation within a nation. So it's kind of like, I don't know, man. It's kind of like the spook that sat behind the door. If you guys ever read that book, or you know, I stay in a Jewish community. They stay in a whole other world within this world. So it was like, man, I felt like I was always learning something from somebody. And even when I felt angry from it, I took it out on drill or took it out on football. I never took it out in the wrong ways until I got around the wrong people. Not necessarily wrong, but different. But they were Muslims, you know. And that's when I started.
Okay, excellent. All right, Khalid's phone went out. Okay, but yes, as me to answer your question. I say yes to answer your question, absolutely. But I want to, man, we've been at it for an hour. I don't want to go too long. So as soon as Khalid come back, I want to thank him. So that means I know you have more questions, and we got to do like a part 2. But man, you know, I got a whole bunch to say on this subject. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to tell all the sons out there to carve your own way. You can do it. You can be great and celebrate. You know, it's all good. Make your own legacy. It all work out for good in the end.
You touched on my last question. That was actually my last question.
What's your last question?
My last question. You just kind of touched on my last question.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. No, it's going out again. Asmeejah, just forget it. I'm not gonna get upset.
What is that?
I ain't be tripping right now because it's just the sound is off. I don't know what's going on with it.
I'm so sorry.
It is. Okay, but I want to thank everyone for watching Off the Record this evening. Stay tuned. Right after we get off, we come right back live with top 5. Thank our great man. So that's me. You did a wonderful job with your questions and everything. I thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank Khalid, Kent Jamz as well. All right, you all have a great day.
You too.
Next one.